Velus Jones, to this point in his career, the 71st overall pick in the 2022 draft. He's got 11 catches for 127 yards. He's got 17 rushes for 154 yards. His best stat is his kick returns, 38 of them, 1,042 yards, 27.4 yards the average there. He fumbled. Everybody remembers those. He fumbled 3 times in 2022, but it was kind of interesting just doing that. He did not fumble last year, Velus. No fumbles for Velus.
Didn't lose a fumble.
Didn't lose a fumble.
Yeah.
Correct. Thank you. Well, okay, so we'll give him
getting technical there.
Slight benefit of the doubt. And then, they took punt returns away from him. He's got 5 for 35 yards.
Yeah.
He scored 1 touchdown, which is 1 more than Tyler Scott in his 1 year. All right? Now, Tyler Scott. 1 year in, 17 catches, which is 6 more than Velus in 2 years. All right? Tyler has a problem with the drops. His catch rate is 53.1%. The worst in football last year was Alec Pierce of the Colts, 49.2. So, you want something around 75. He's at 53. 49.2 is 4 from the bottom. That ain't great. And Tyler, has not seen the end zone, and he doesn't have as much versatility as Velus. But I think that most people would look at it like, who was the worst draft pick, Velus or Tyler Scott? I asked you guys this earlier, but so just reenact
we said
that.
Velus and like that.
Immediately.
Yeah. Immediately Velus.
And then you had a good point after.
Then you had a good point.
So the point that I'm making is,
which is rare.
Thank you very much. Tyler was picked 133 overall in the 4th round. Mm-hmm. So I looked at who did Ryan Poles pass on after Tyler. Who did Ryan Poles pass on after Velus? And there is very little to no argument that the Tyler Scott pick is way worse than Velus. After Tyler, Dontavian Wicks, Green Bay, 5th round, 39 catches, 581 yards. Puka Nacua, last pick in the 5th round. This is an absolute killer. 105 catches, 1,486 yards, 6 touchdowns, just a killer. But then if you just look at depth pieces, Parker Washington, 6th round to Jacksonville, 116 catches, 2 touchdowns, 132 yards. Trey Palmer, 199, 39 catches, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. Better than Tyler, 6th round pick Tampa. A.T. Perry is the guy in the end zone four times last year, 6th round pick of New Orleans. Elijah Higgins, 6th round Miami. He scored a touchdown, had 14 catches at 163 yards. By the way, that's more than Chase Claypool. I had to do a Claypool tangent. Claypool had 4 catches with the Dolphins. 4 catches, the 6th round pick at 14. By the way, he also had 4 catches with the Bears. Andre Ushovis had 4 touchdowns for Cincinnati, the Princeton product, who we talked about last year in the draft that we got excited about. Demario Douglas, 49 catches, 561 yards in the 6th round for New England last year. Not exactly,
it was a crapshoot at quarterback, too.
Yeah. And Ronnie Bell, a 7th round receiver from San Francisco, had 3 touchdowns. Now, you compare that to the Velus draft. Jalen Tolbert to Dallas, went 88 overall, 280 yards, couple of touchdowns. David Bell, the star out of there was Romeo Doubs. And this is now in 2 years. So he doesn't, in 2 years, he still doesn't pass Puka. But 101 catches for Doubs, 1,099 yards, 11 touchdowns, which is 5 more than Puka. So, and then you have guys like Calvin Austin, Khalil Shakur, who actually has the best catch rate of anybody last year. 39 targets, 45 targets, 39 catches, and 772 yards and 3 touchdowns for him. But if you compare, and then the other guys are Kyle Phillips, Jalen Naylor, Bo Melton. So if you compare them, the Scott draft, I know this is a long-winded thing here, but stick with me. The Scott draft, 295 catches, 3,738 yards, 27 touchdowns. Compared to, in 2 seasons, 1 more season, 280 catches, 3,397 yards, 22 touchdowns. So 15 more catches, 341 more yards, 5 more touchdowns in 1 less season for the guys that got picked after Tyler. So the bottom line is that neither one of them worked, but the Tyler Scott pick looks worse.
I mean, let's play Tyler Scott defender here.
Okay.
Do you feel confident that any of those players, that long list of players, would have posted those kind of numbers under this offense with Luke Getsy and Justin Fields as quarterback?
So, great question, Kevin. That's why you're the head of content. But I don't think that Puka Nacua comes in here and sucks. And I also think, like, there was a lot of opportunity.
That's the thing for Tyler Scott. Think back to the Detroit game in Detroit. He has an opportunity to close out that game if he's able to track the ball efficiently and come down with the catch. The game against Atlanta, Justin Fields throws arguably his best throw of his entire career, and Tyler Scott can't come down with the catch. So at least, but here's the thing. The Bears are at least putting him in opportunities to make those plays. Velus ain't even on the field. They're like, you're not running those routes because you're not capable of running those routes. Tyler Scott, at least they're trying to give him an opportunity. He didn't quite execute on those plays, but he's showing the difference in the trust the coaching staff had in those two guys, one being a rookie and Velus obviously being year 2.
Well, so that's the tricky part of the argument, because I think between the two players, if I was to bet who's going to go on and have a better career, I would, not completely confidently, but I would bet on Tyler because he can get open because he was so close, whereas Velus, you have to invent ways to get him the football. And, you know, he's a decent kick returner, but
I mean, they were putting him as a running back last year,
right,
at times. So,
but I also think that, you know, if you told me that if the Bears had an opportunity to do both of those picks, I think they're gonna pick they're taking someone else, obviously. So which is the larger question. The Bears need to solve the quarterback riddle here, however it's going to slice. They also need to solve the wide receiver riddle. And
is this a chicken or egg question?
A little bit.
Well, did you guys see the nugget that Jake Flanagan, our GM, dropped in Slack?
Oh, no.
All right, don't look at it. I'm gonna ask the question then. His question was, name the last Bears wide receiver to score a TD other than DJ Moore.
Equinemius St. Brown.
Wrong.
The last Bears receiver to score a touchdown other than DJ Moore. Jake Flanagan, elite general manager, throwing this out here. Well, it's not Darnell.
Oh, no, it would be Mooney.
Is it Darnell? It was? I can't remember.
Not Mooney.
I can't even remember a Mooney touchdown.
That was week 1 against the Green Bay Packers.
It was not week 1. It was the catch was in week 2.
The catch was in week 2.
Chase Claypool.
There you go. That's Chase Claypool.
His one great moment as a Bear. That was amazing.
So all other receiving TDs were DJ Moore, tight ends, or running backs.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right, which I'm not sure, but I think that Jake is making a point here about Justin Fields perhaps keeping the quarterback. I somehow
You would never.
Wild idea that's the reason that one made its way into Slack.
That's an insane thing to think about. The
15 weeks.
Yeah, only DJ, and then week 2, Chase Claypool, and then week 1, Darnell
It's
Mooney.
a fair point, man. Like, look, there have been. Look at the Packers. Look at their wide receivers. Bears could have had any of them. Missed on all of them. Romeo Doubs, during that draft, I was saying at the time, I like Doubs. I like him a lot. He's got good size.
Run routes.
But I remember sitting here the week after the draft and everyone watching Tyler Scott film and thinking, hey, we might have something
burner,
here. This
yeah.
might be,
Yeah.
What happened?
He couldn't catch the football. That's what happened.
He's new to the position, too. He's, 2 years into being a wide receiver. So, I think there is a growth period, but still, that's your job.
But that also underlines, like Velus hadn't played a ton of wide receiver either. I'm not saying that Ryan Poles can't get this done because I'd like to think that he can identify a wide receiver. But I'm just telling you, the first time I went out to training camp and I saw Velus backpedal to try to catch a ball and go up awkwardly to catch it, I know I've said this before on the show, I'm like, this guy has got a long way to go. And I don't know how you could have looked at him and thought, I want this dude to, it didn't make sense to me.
And that happened in a game where he's backpedaling against the Chargers. Remember, he's wide open. Tyler Bagent throws it to him. He's backpedaling and drops. He can't even catch the ball.
You will say Bagent's first name correctly.
What did I say? Did I say Tyler?
You called him Tyler Bagent.
I'm sorry, Tyson. I'm sorry. I'm Tyler Scott.
You will apologize to the Bagent family right now. I will get his dad on the show.
Sorry.
Thank you. No problem. But yes, right. The one in the end zone where he's falling down and that was the greatest.
I would always saw that live it's going to be one of these types of games, isn't it?
But it also is I don't know, depends on the day that you see him and all that type of stuff. But I'm just telling you, if I could walk into Hallis Hall and watch a guy and see that he looks awkward catching the football, and then it goes the way it went, that's not great, man. It's just I don't know how they got so excited about Velus. I'd love to hear Poles talk about that.
You made the point, though, in the conference room before the show, like, well, you can find wide receivers in the later rounds, so why spend that number 9 on it? But they haven't found him in the later round. I mean, Darnell Mooney to a certain extent, but maybe not a long-term solution. So would you feel better using that number 9 pick on a wide receiver?
Yeah. Well, it depends on who's there. Some people think it's going to go 4, 5, 6 wide receiver.
And, I think Green Bay, obviously they went the later round picks to find their wide receivers, but they also didn't have a number 1 like the Bears do in DJ Moore. So I wonder if they just wanted more opportunities to fill out that roster with guys that have panned out. Yeah. The Bears are in a position where they have DJ Moore, so could you use a number 9 overall pick to get who you think is also going to be a stud, but he's not the number 1 read yet. That's going to be DJ Moore until he falls off, which hopefully is not soon. But again, it just shows the different approaches that NFL teams can have at trying to get this position right.
I mean, if you want to be negative about it, which I have a capability of doing every now and then, as far as the QB is concerned, everybody wants, who wants the Bears to draft Caleb will point to Patrick Mahomes and say, you need somebody like that to be able to compete consistently for the Super Bowl. And okay, I got it. But the problem is that there is only going to be one of Patrick Mahomes. So you're looking for the next guy, a similar guy. And that dude was already picked last year, and his name is C.J. Stroud. All right? So for me, the question with what I'll be looking at is, can Caleb pass C.J.? Wherever he goes. That would be the question to me when it comes down to polls. And so I have concerns that you missed on the QB that was there. And now when I look at position players, I have, impact playmakers. I have concerns with how you have drafted at wide receiver. I think, and that's all fair. It's cool that you traded the number 1 overall pick for DJ Moore and were able to identify him as a guy, but that's not rocket science at that point. You gave up the number 1 overall pick to get him. So I understand they got a lot of other value with it. So, but you don't. I'm not going to give you huge points for identifying DJ Moore. I'm sorry. That's what I want to see is you pick somebody in the 4th round who's a stud. I want to see you pick a Romeo Dobbs. I want to see you pick a Puka Nacua to show me that you can see talent when others haven't. Instead, they've picked Velus and Tyler, and I think this is a box that Poles has yet to check on his resume of somebody who can identify a stud playmaker in the later rounds.
The Bears. I mean. Take it outside even polls, the Bears haven't really found guys to draft wider. I mean, we were talking in our meeting earlier, Alshon Jeffrey, arguably is the one drafted Bears wide receiver that turned out to be, a guy. So, I mean, they just need to, outside of the quarterback stigma, it's the wide receiver stigma of being able to draft a guy that's going to develop, that's going to be good, be productive, for years to come. The Bears just haven't been able to do that consistently.
I mean, look, it's just pathetic. I mean, the Bears' leader in receiving yards is Johnny Morris. That is impossible. How is seriously? He played from 1958 to 1967. That might as well be 1768 to 1767. And that's your leading receiver all time? How is that possible? Seriously. And your leading quarterback, Sid Luckman still has way too many records on the Bears.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing. And so it's not just, Poles, you better leave here as far as fixing both of those. But so, yeah, right, you're right. The Bears have not been able to identify wide receivers historically for whatever reason. And part of that, obviously, is who they've had throwing the ball to them.
Yep.
So they go hand in hand.
Nick, how far in are you on your draft analysis, your prospect looks here? Is there a wide receiver you're looking at? Because I got one.
Later rounds or
later rounds, like
I'm
mid to late
getting
round
there.
steal.
But who are you thinking of, Steve?
Johnny Wilson out of Florida State.
Okay.
I think he could fill 2 roles. He's 6'7", 237. Everybody thought he was going to move to tight end in college.
Yeah.
It did not happen. He's stuck at wide receiver. He's got speed. He could catch the 50-50 ball. And he's got that 6'7" size. You know, Robert Tonyan didn't work out. Mercedes Lewis, end of his career. This guy could kind of fill 2 roles with that much size. And he's a guy I pray the Bears look at both the combine and hopefully in the draft as well.
It's funny you mentioned him because I was watching Jared Verse film, the Florida State defensive lineman. So I was watching the defensive thing. And then on offense, like, who is this extremely large person able to, make these outbreaking routes, just kind of stretch his arms out and make the catch? So someone that I'll definitely do more research on. But, I like the versatility, the length. Whenever you have that length at that position, like, that creates complications for a defense.
We all silly like the mayor.